Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland. And this week, I have a fellow cinephile here and film reviewer. We have Isaac, the Film Geek. So, welcome,
Hey
Isaac.
guys, thanks Wasteland Reviewer. It's pretty cool having me here.
Awesome. So, I'm going to let Isaac introduce any kinds of things that he wants to plug on the channel right now, and hopefully, you all go check out his content, and then we'll get into our questions.
All right, seems simple. I run a YouTube channel. All I do in my channel is, I just talk about movies, movie news, and everything in the wonderful world of movies. My
Mhm.
channel name is Isaac the Film Geek. It's the same as my Instagram and Twitter. So if you're into movies or anything in the wonderful world of movies, then you're in the right place in my channel. We talk about all kinds of movies. Most of the time, it's like sci-fi movies like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, just because it's what I like most. But I still talk about drama, horror, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's really all I do in my channel.
Awesome. I'm also a huge fan of sci-fi, so I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to start things off with what it might seem like an easy question, but a lot of people have to put a lot of thought into this question. But Isaac, what is your favorite film?
That's a tough question. It's always really hard, but
Mhm.
my answer is kind of generic because I can guarantee you a lot of people have said this movie, but my favorite movie is The Godfather. I really love that movie a ton.
Mhm.
Although drama isn't my favorite genre, The Godfather is just up there for me. It was actually hard for me to choose which is my favorite movie between part one or part two, but I really love that movie a ton. And it's a movie that's really long, but yet it feels fast anytime I rewatch it.
That movie, it does not feel like you're pushing 3 hours there watching this saga of this family, and like the second one's even longer. And
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola just had a certain way of pacing those films to make it just it's electric, and you're going through. And being an Italian American, especially from like the Northeast, my
Mhm.
grandfather made me watch The Godfather when I was 10 years old
Oh,
because it's
wow.
my culture. And being a 10-year-old and watching The Godfather for the first time and like liking it and appreciating it was a very interesting experience. So that's definitely something that I've seen quite a few times in my life, and it never gets old, and it always feels like a special experience. It also makes me wonder what the hell happened to Francis Ford Coppola, because 70s were a big time for him. He made some amazing films. So,
All right.
all right, Isaac. So, what is your earliest memory of going to the movies?
That's a tough one because I have so many memories.
Mhm.
And when you asked me this question earlier, I had to do a little research on what movie do I remember. And the earliest one I can remember was Spider-Man 3, Sam
Okay.
Raimi Spider-Man 3. And I remember I loved it a lot as a kid. The older I get, the less I like it more because we all know exactly. But there is one specific movie that caused my love of movies more than Spider-Man 3. And that was Man of Steel back in 2013. I
Okay.
was 11 years old, and prior to this, I just saw movies as just quick entertainment. But when I watched Man of Steel kind of was the film that began my real appreciation with film. Like ever since then, I kind of looked at movies as more of a inspiration or more of a an escape from reality, if that makes sense.
And that's interesting because I remember seeing Spider-Man 3 because that came out in 2007, I
Yeah.
think it was. And I was I was in high school at the time, and I went with a couple of friends to go see that because that came out, and then the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End came out, and I saw them like back to back weeks. So like that was a big time for movies back then, and I remember seeing that, and like obviously as you watch it more now, and just like, did we really need like dancing Peter Parker? Did we need that in our lives? But there's still parts of that film that I think really work, and it's a shame that kind of derailed Sam Raimi's Spider-Man series. And Man of Steel is a
Yeah.
very interesting film because it's one of those films every time I watch it, I appreciate it more. Because I
Yeah.
think when I saw it first, which 2013, I was towards the end of my undergrad in college and watching that, and I'm just like, didn't know what to think of that Superman film because it's like I grew up watching like Superman the movie and
Yeah.
Superman 2. And then even like I distinctly remember seeing Superman Returns in theaters, which is basically them just trying to redo Christopher Reeve's Superman. And Man of Steel was very different. And now I could appreciate it's like I love like Henry Cavill's great, and I love Michael Shannon as Zod. He's one of my really underappreciated comic book movie villains. That intensity that he brings to everything is great. And I loved Russell Crowe as Jor-El. Such a great casting, and very different casting because it wasn't Marlon Brando getting paid $1 million a week to mispronounce a bunch of things, which
Yeah,
is interesting. But like obviously in Man of Steel really launched things for what was supposed to be what the DC film universe was going to be, and now we're getting a new taste to it starting
yeah,
next month, which is going to be interesting. I know I didn't think that was going to happen, so it's going to be honestly HBO Max was smart, and they're like, we're going to capitalize on this, and a bunch of people are going to watch it. So
yeah. Yeah, the Snyder Cut. I remember 3 years ago I said it would never happen, and look, we're only a month away from seeing the full 4 hours that we never thought we'd see.
nope. And like I worry that people are really like, because the thing is it's so very different because like with the MCU everything is so meticulously put together and linked and connected, and everything connects back to everything else. And Warner Brothers is just at this point kind of being like, well, who cares? Here's this. There's going to be like 5 different Batman at one point, and it's just like, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm going to wind up watching all of them anyway, so we're going to go with it.
yeah.
Now, you might have alluded to this earlier, but what's your favorite genre, Isaac?
My favorite specific genre is science fiction. I've always had such an appreciation with science fiction. Another genre I really love is drama. I do
Mhm.
prefer science fiction over it, but drama is like a close second place to me.
Awesome. And science fiction is definitely my favorite too. And it's interesting because it's like a lot of the times when like I'm looking at my favorite films from each year, it's like, why is it always like a science fiction film normally? And it's like great science fiction does the drama great, and then it adds more. And I think that's the cool thing, because it's
Yeah.
like it takes a really impressive drama to really like grab my attention. But science fiction, it's just like you could it literally transports you to whole different places with you.
And the funny thing I have with science fiction is lots of times you have some mediocre science fiction movies that come out. Like
Mhm.
an example I'm gonna use is Godzilla versus Kong. The
Uh-huh.
trailer comes out and it's like you're aware the movie's not going to be a masterpiece or an Oscar winning movie, but yet you're still hyping it up more than like any other movie. Like for I didn't like Godzilla King of the Monsters too much. And I did like Skull Island, but I wouldn't say it's like a great film.
Mhm.
And regardless, for some reason, I'm still hyped up more than any other drama I've heard that are coming out this year. Like I remember back in 2019, there was a movie called Knives Out by Ryan Johnson, and I wasn't hyping it up all year. Yet I was hyping up Endgame, but yet at the end of the year, I put Knives Out above Endgame in my list of favorite movies. And it's this weird thing I have with science fiction. Like I can understand there won't be cinematic masterpiece, but you still have that soft spot for it.
Well, and it's interesting because I love Knives Out. Oh,
Yeah.
when because I love Looper, and and I'm one of the people that does love The Last Jedi.
Yeah, me
And
too.
when I saw the first trailer for Knives Out, I'm like, oh man, I have to see this. And looking at the cast and everything, but it's interesting because it's like you kind of go into a year knowing these are probably going to be the best films of the year, but like, what do I really want to see most?
Yeah.
And like, I remember when those trailers for Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, I'm just like, yes, I want to spend,
Yeah.
I want to watch all of this monster carnage. And if they spent more time on that and
Oh
less on the
yeah.
stupid human characters that they came up with, probably would have enjoyed it more. Which that's my biggest hesitation going into and Godzilla versus Kong is like they're going to spend a bunch of time with a bunch of human characters that I don't care about. Just have the giant monsters punch each other.
Yeah.
Have a whole movie just that. I will take 2 hours of that.
Yeah,
But
I'm not expecting Godzilla vs. Kong to be in my top 10 favorite movies of the year, but that trailer just I hope it doesn't have too much I'm fine with human elements, just don't overdo it. Like I felt like King of the Monsters would have been better if you cut out like 20 minutes or a little more of the humans interacting. Because at the end
yeah,
of the day, the audience is aware this isn't gonna be a masterpiece. We just want to see giant CGI battles. And especially now with Kong and Godzilla going head to head for the first time since somewhere around the 80s. I forgot when that last movie came out.
because like my feelings on it right now is like going back to the 2014 Godzilla film. If Bryan Cranston was our protagonist, like we were promised, I would have enjoyed that film a lot more. But then they replaced him with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, who had no personality at all. So
Yeah.
if you're going to give us human characters, make them interesting. If you're
Yeah.
not going to give us interesting human characters, ignore them and show us the monsters. So, but they haven't learned that lesson yet.
Yeah.
Now, Isaac, do you have a particular favorite filmmaker?
That's a tough one. There's so many. I love Scorsese. I love
Mhm.
Snyder. There's just a giant list of directors, but I think there's one director I put in the top, and it's Christopher Nolan. The reason why I choose him is because a lot of directors do have their off day, which is okay. I mean, everyone has a bad day in the office, but
Mhm.
Nolan, I've never, so far from all the movies I've seen, never have I seen a movie that's either disappointed me or made me not like it. Like there's Insomnia, there's Dunkirk, Dark Knight, Inception, and I even like Tenet. And it surprises me how much dedication Nolan puts into his films. So in a way, when I see the title say directed by Nolan, I am more hyped up than whether James Gunn, Scorsese, Ryan Johnson, anyone like that. So I guess I would say Christopher Nolan is my favorite filmmaker.
I could, he's not my, he's very close to being my favorite. He's not quite my favorite, but when I'm sitting and a trailer starts and I see syncope pop up on the screen, I'm just like, yes. Because I
Yeah.
remember when I saw the Tenet trailer for the first time in a theater, was like I'm sitting there and syncope popped up. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Tenet trailer. And like I just knew it at that moment. And my hype level just went like that in the middle of the theater. And I do remember seeing Tenet back in the fall. And yeah, it's definitely not my favorite Nolan film, but it's still a really cool film. And you're just
Yeah.
sitting there like, this guy blew up a plane just to film this scene in his movie. And it's a level of commitment that you don't see a whole lot in films because most directors that would have just been CGI. But Nolan's like, no, we're gonna blow up a plane because he can. Because who's gonna tell him no?
He has a lot of power in Warner Bros. He could pitch in any movie idea, and Warner Bros. Very well knows to accept it.
They gave him like $250 million to make Tenet, and boy was it crazy. It was. I look forward to watching it again when I do get it on Blu-ray because I have every intention of doing so.
Yeah, I really like
Now,
Tenet.
Isaac, do you have particular favorite actors or actresses?
That's a tough one because there's so many great actors. I actually have two in particular actors who I really like, and that is Leonardo DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis. And both of them are just, and I've never seen a performance where I'm disappointed from them. Either that or I haven't seen enough, but I've seen so many films where it feels like they give it their all. I mean, I'm gonna say most actors give it their all, but when I see DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis on screen, I'm just amazed by what they can do. And I guess I would say both of them are my co-favorite actors. But yeah,
Oh, if Daniel Day-Lewis is in a film, you know you're in for a treat
yeah,
because he's not going to give anything less than literally everything into this movie because he literally becomes that person.
yeah,
And it makes me sad that he retired, but
yeah,
it's so interesting to watch because like he has some very showy performances and like Gangs of New York, Bill the Butcher is one of the great characters in movies. And he played Lincoln and it was so amazing. And my personal favorite performance of all time is Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood.
Oh man,
And
that's in my top 10.
then you have Phantom Thread, which
Mhm.
really isn't showy for him, but boy, is he acting every single second. I don't think I have seen a look of disdain so powerful on somebody's face watching and listening to somebody butter bread
Yeah.
in the middle of breakfast during Phantom Thread. And then Leo is just he he has taken Hollywood by storm his whole entire
Yeah.
career. And I just saw some new casting for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it
Mhm.
is Scorsese's new film because like both him and De Niro are going to be in it together. And
Oh,
Scorsese's
that.
like, I can't just have Leo or De Niro. I need both of them. And they're
Oh, I
finally going
can't
to be in a
wait.
film together. And then I saw Jesse Plemons got cast in it today. But like they already had me sold on it Scorsese and Leo and De Niro in it. After The Irishman, I'm just like, give me anything. This movie could be 4 hours too, and I'll go see it.
Yeah.
So you just need somebody to pay the bill.
I remember there was a time period where it became a meme where DiCaprio was like an actor who everyone was surprised he had not won an Oscar. And it
Mhm.
was like for years, everyone was like, how is he not winning one? Then he eventually won it for The Revenant. I think
Yep.
that's that, yeah. And yeah, I think he deserves, more support, more love, because his acting is just top notch. Like I said earlier, I don't think I've ever seen him within the bad performance. Either that or haven't seen enough, but he gives it his all. I remember there was a scene, I can't remember the movie, but it was a movie with Jamie Foxx where he's holding like a cup of wine, and he like squishes the cup and it like breaks in his hand,
In
and there's
Django.
blood. Yeah, that one. I forgot the title. And the fact that he continued to act surprises me, because I know very well if that was me, I'd probably like ask for medical attention or something like that.
He was so into that scene, he just slams his hand down, cuts that glass all over his hand, and just keeps going,
Yeah.
just keeps being a completely just deplorable human being. Because you don't get to see Leo play a villain a whole lot. And boy, did he play Calvin Candy so well in Django Unchained.
Yeah, I love DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis as my favorite actor.
Now, do you have a particular film that you feel like you could watch every single day?
Oh yeah. This film is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. It's funny because this has been happening ever since I was a little kid.
Mhm.
My parents said that they would often in the VHS tape play Spider-Man 2 over and over just to satisfy me. And they said I would eventually grow out of it. But
Uh-huh.
the older I get, the more I have so much love for the film. And it's not my favorite film of all time. However, it's just a film. Anytime I watch it, it like gets better and better. And especially the older I get, the more I'm kind of being more compelled to Spider-Man too.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
and it's so because that's pre us getting the MCU and DC trying to make their own universe too. And like the early 2000s when comic book movies were really finally becoming a thing, Spider-Man 2 and X2, X-Men United, those were like the shit at that point to watch. And if it's really true and we're getting Alfred Molina back as Doc Ock in this new Spider-Man movie, I'm totally down. And
Yeah.
I would lose it if he's just like Butterfingers.
Oh man, if Tobey Maguire pops up in Spider-Man 3, and especially Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, I'm gonna lose it. Uh, to see him donning the Doc Ock suit again, would it's something I never believed in a million years that would happen, especially since he dies at the end. Oh, spoiler alert, but he dies at the end.
Spoiler for a movie that came out like 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but I think for me, if I'm sitting and watching the new Spider-Man and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin shows up, I'm gonna lose it because man, that performance is so infinitely quotable. Where it's just like back to formula. It's like Harry, avenge me.
I really wonder if, let's say he does come in, I really wonder, are they going to give him his suit from 2001? I think that's when it came, or 2000. Like, that would be crazy.
I don't know if That suit was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see at some point if they do wind up bringing the Green Goblin back and him winding up being in like his comic book accurate, like he has a goblin mask on and
Yeah.
stuff like that because it would look so stupid and cheesy and it'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
That's what
That'd be
we're here for,
crazy.
right? We're here for fun.
Yeah.
So now, Isaac, do you have a particular film that you feel connects to you because it relates to an interest of yours?
Yeah, this movie it's similar. I guess I would say it's the best of that genre, but it's this Denzel Washington film called Remember the Titans. And I don't play football. I more like soccer and basketball. But out of sports movies, like I think that's the best one. And seeing the passion and the creation of that film, it really it hits me in the heart because that's really how it is when you play sports. And Remember the Titans to me is the best sport movie of all time. And Denzel Washington, I love him as an actor, and he doesn't phone it in this performance. I really like what he did. So I guess even though I don't play football, that is the movie that really I like. That's from my other interest.
Mhm. I was I played football for 2 years and I was a lineman, big kid.
Yeah,
And I'm just like that point where he's just like, water's gonna make you weak. You don't get any water. I'm just like, I would die during football practice.
yeah,
And like he goes hard on them, but like boy, I watched Remember the Titans so many times when I was a kid growing up.
yeah,
And I'm a sports fan and like it's always fun, like even if they're not the best movies, watching a sports movie because it's like you just get caught up in it, inspired, and like I'm a huge baseball fan, I'm a pretty big football fan, and just like I think my if I had to pick any football movie to watch and just throw it in, I love The Replacements
yeah,
because it's such a ragtag group of just ridiculous football players. You have Gene Hackman as their coach and Keanu Reeves, Shane Falco, and just the whole entire ridiculous team that they put together is so much fun. But like Remember the Titans, that's a great one. And you need to be inspired today, go watch Remember the Titans.
yeah. I love that film a lot. I can't even remember how many times I've seen it. I remember my back in high school, I had a teacher who was also a football coach,
Mhm.
and anytime we had free time, he would just play Remember the Titans because I think he told me it was his favorite film. But yeah,
Hey, that's a great way to spend school, right? Watching some
yeah,
Remember the Titans.
yeah.
Now, so which movie character do you feel like you can connect with on a personal level?
There's a lot of characters that hit me close to the heart, but I guess there are three characters I'm gonna list off.
Mhm.
Number one is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. His character is basically, with great power comes great responsibility. So I guess I would use him as one of them. Another character that hits me close to the heart is Luke Skywalker, of course, Mark Hamill. And in a way, I kind of relate to him because Luke is basically a nobody. Like he comes from Tatooine, he has no real history. And another character I really kind of resonate a lot with is Star Lord. I really love 80s music. One in my phone, I have a wallpaper of a Sony Walkman, and I like to pretend like I'm Star Lord by like connecting my
Nice.
headphones, and I listen to like I on YouTube. Tend to listen to a lot of the Guardians of the Galaxy playlist. So
Mhm.
I guess in a way I connect to him when he listens to music. So I guess those are the three characters I connect to the most.
Nice. I have a love for 70s music. And I
Yeah,
remember when that first Guardians trailer came out and they had Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Swede. I'm just like, what? In a
yeah,
superhero movie? And then watch like I have both awesome mixes on vinyl. And
yeah,
just listening to the two of them is just so fantastic from start to finish. And like just blast Brandy, you're a
yeah,
fine girl. And just that song had no reason to be connected to the plot that closely in that movie. And I'm just like, this is absurd. And I love every second of it. James
yeah.
Gunn is so great. I can't wait for his Suicide Squad movie.
Oh,
Oh my
I that movie seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2. I think Suicide Squad was perfect for him.
Seeing when they released that character teaser with
Mhm.
all the ridiculous, like the Weasel, Polka Dot Man, and
That character right there, I never thought I'd see in a movie.
I'm like, is this Lego Batman? Because honestly, that's what it feels like when you're watching Lego Batman. It had like the Condiment King. I'm like, I was waiting for him to pop up in the Suicide Squad movie.
Another character I was surprised is John Cena as Peacemaker. Like never in my life did I think I'd see Peacemaker and King Shark. I know we've seen him before, but it in a full big screen movie, never did I think I'd hear the day that King Shark would show up. And there's a ton of characters, and hearing the music, seeing what it looks like, Suicide Squad looks like it's gonna be such a fun time in theaters, or probably not in theaters, but HBO Max.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have HBO Max. Thank you, HBO Max. At least we get to see some things.
Yeah. I really wish I had like a theater at home so that way I could get that same experience like in an actual theater, but that's a real tough thing. I only have like this small TV in my room
Uh-huh.
where I watch HBO Max and Disney and everything like that. But yeah.
Oh, well, at least because I know at least what we have coming up. We have the Tom and Jerry movie coming
Oh,
out
I just
next
remember
week.
that.
And then at least in March, there's Justice League, and then there's Godzilla versus King Kong.
Oh yeah, Godzilla vs Kong. I'm planning on going to a theater because the closest theater I'm at, it's open. So I want to see the two biggest creatures fight in a big screen. Yeah, I'm just gonna make the even though I already have HBO Max, I'm paying for it. I still want to see both. Like I want to tell my kids when I grow up that I saw Godzilla and Kong at opening day theaters.
I I remember I saw King and Godzilla King of the Monsters at a 5:30 p.m. showing on a Thursday, opening night.
Yeah,
Opening night, because
yeah,
5:30 is opening night. I I remember when they only had midnight showings, and
yeah.
now it's like the whole entire evening the day before, which I'm not going to complain about. I'm a morning person. Trying to go to a movie at midnight, not my dice. Trying to stay
Yeah.
awake. But that was a strange feeling going opening night at 5:30 on a Thursday. Like it was light out when I was done the movie.
Yeah, opening screenings are the best feelings. Like knowing you're a lot with other fellow film fans is like seeing their reactions. I remember watching Endgame and Infinity War both on opening day, and like hearing it felt like a stadium, like a sports team where everyone's cheering, crying, and
Or
stuff
did.
like that, and everyone
I
wearing merch of like characters they really love.
I think my favorite that really struck a chord with me because like I love X-Men so
Mhm.
much. And I remember going to it was an actual midnight premiere at midnight of Days of Future Past.
Oh, I love that film.
And after like with The Last Stand, and they rebooted it with First Class, and when they announced that Bryan Singer was coming back and they're
Mhm.
bringing back the original cast along with the new cast, I'm just like, what? And sitting in that theater, that the cold open when they showed like just a desolated apocalyptic future with all the sentinels running everything, and they showed that X-Men like belt buckle in the dirt on the ground, and then that score started playing the original X-Men theme from the 2000 X-Men film. Just like I got goosebumps all all over my arms. I'm like, this is perfect. I got so excited. That was my ringtone for a while. So
Yeah, I love that score. I remember Days of Future Past. To me, it's the best. It's the second best X-Men universe film. My favorite one's Logan, but Eight Days of Future Past was I love seeing Wolverine meeting like the new X-Men, or well, really the old X-Men, but new and to us. And one scene I really love from that movie is Quicksilver, Evan Peters. You hear the song "Sweet Dreams," and he's like going like slow in time, helping like other people. I really love what they did in that movie a lot.
and that and it's so frustrating too because when Dark Phoenix rolled around and they completely nerfed him and just like, you know what, he's too powerful. We're just gonna ignore him. And it's just like, screw you. I want my obnoxious Quicksilver scene. Where is it? And we didn't get it.
Yeah,
Now,
Dark Phoenix was a disappointment.
it made me sad that that franchise went out on such a whimper like that. But, you know, we
Yeah.
got Logan beforehand. So we're
I
just
re-
going to remember that one.
yeah.
What's a film, Isaac, that you love that you think people would be surprised to find out that you love?
I actually have two, and one of them you mentioned earlier. Number one, it's something I'm really known with, not just my friends, but people everywhere online. And it is Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, a really divisive film.
Yep.
I talk about that movie a lot, and it's still my favorite comic book film, specifically the Ultimate Cut. But that film, anytime I say that it's my favorite comic book film, everyone's like, what's wrong with you? And when I say that Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman, everyone just is really shocked.
They're
But
just
another, yeah, another film that you have said earlier that also shocks people. It's not one I love, but I do really like it. Is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. That one, if you tell any Star Wars fan that, they get either they get really mad or really happy. And to me, Last Jedi is better than what most fans make it seem. But I really liked the film, and surprisingly, I really liked a lot of the things they did with Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Although there was a few things I did get mad at, but for the most part, I really liked the character study they had with him.
in terms of Batman versus Superman. I'm not the hugest fan, but I will admit that that Ultimate Cut made it a considerably better movie. And I
Yeah,
was glad that I saw the Ultimate Cut because there was a moment in the theater where I was sitting there like legitimately like I feel like the scenes are out of order. Like there
yeah,
is legitimately parts in the original cut, theatrical cut that feels out of order. I'm just like, and it's so obnoxious because like there's the one part where Perry White's just like, where where is he? Did he just fly off, like click his heels together, fly off to Kansas, and then it cuts to Batman? And I'm just like, wait a
there was
minute.
there was this one scene. I remember the first viewing that it left me the whole movie wondering how is this happening. It was the first scene when they're in Africa and they frame Superman for killing all these people. However, in the theatrical, they never showed them burning the bodies. So the whole time I was like, wait, but don't they see like bullet holes? How would they think it's Superman? Then the Ultimate Cut finally answered that. And to this day, I don't know why they didn't at least show us a quick clip of them being burnt.
That there's definitely a lot because like there's issues that I have with the film, both from a logic standpoint and then from it didn't really work for me in terms of certain things. The Ultimate Cut fixed the logic things. Like it
Yeah.
just made it a better film because I'm like, exactly that point. It's just like, but wait a minute. And I'm like, why did you cut up that scene in the first place? But I'm obviously Warner Brothers has done a lot of things to a lot of the DC movies that I'm not even going to bother being like, why'd you do this in the first place? Between that and Suicide Squad and obviously Justice League, because they're
Yeah.
like, let's trim this thing down to make it 2 hours, and it's just like, I don't think that's gonna work. And like the Joss Whedon release, like theatrical cut of Justice League, is one of the most just yeah, it's a movie kind of movies, and it's just like this is Justice League. This shouldn't be feeling like yeah, this was a movie. But there's
Yeah.
definitely some things I love about BVS. Like I love Ben Affleck as Batman, and I'm sad that he's not getting his Batman film,
Yeah.
or maybe he is. We don't know. That
Yeah.
might happen. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited for Matt Reeves' Batman
Oh
because
man, that trailer. I don't think there's ever been a trailer I've hyped up the most since Matt Reeves, the Batman. It's this noir a detective style Batman is something I've always wanted to see. And the red color matched so well with Batman. Although Batman has never been a red character, it just matches so much the red and black. And especially when they put that Nirvana song, Something in the Way, that it fits so perfectly.
and Batman demolishes that guy. Like
Oh yeah.
that that was brutal. I'm like, I feel bad for that guy. He beat him to death. Like, come on, that guy's not waking up from that. But like the actual fight between Superman and Batman is really impressive. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish it was like 3 times as long. Like honestly, I'm like, this is why I came to this movie. I want more of this. And talking about The Last Jedi, I love The Last Jedi, and I would definitely argue it's one of the best directed Star Wars films because like Ryan Johnson's an incredible director, and my God, the cinematography in that movie, all the shots in Snoke's throne room with that red, it's just so cool. I really thought it was interesting what they did with Luke Skywalker. Did not find Canto Bite very interesting though. Like
Yeah.
I'll admit, like that just felt like completely out of touch with the whole rest of the movie. I'm like, I get that you needed something for Finn to do, but like you could have done better.
Yeah, that was my least favorite part, seeing Finn and what was the planet called again?
Um, oh crap, Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Rose, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was yeah.
That whole thing, I remember being in theaters and I was like, just cut that part out. I don't think anyone in the audience wanted that.
It's like at that point, I wouldn't even care to have been like, how did they get to the Superstar Destroyer? Don't care. I don't need to find out how they got there. They just got there. I'd rather just cut to the chase and not have to worry about it at this point. Speaking of
Yeah.
logic.
I really liked Last Jedi. My favorite scene in particular in that film was when Luke shows up and Kylo Ren is like in those big robotic things or whatever, and
Yeah.
they're like more, and you see like a cloud, and you're like, wait, what's happening? Then Luke just casually walks out. Yeah, like nothing.
That was like, did he really just like brush his shoulder off? He just did. And just that shot, like, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, you might be one of 10 people who haven't. But like that whole like how that shot like right out of a samurai film between him and Kylo Ren standing across from each other and everything is just it's great.
Yeah,
Only
that
thing that
Kylo
would have
Ren.
made it even greater was if it was an actual lightsaber battle.
Yeah, man. I really liked a lot of the things Last Jedi did. I mean, of course, there's a few things I don't like, but overall, it's a movie I can rewatch and appreciate what Ryan Johnson did.
Mhm.
I would say it's my second favorite from the sequels. I really love Force Awakens a lot, so I put that one a little more. But I would say Last Jedi. I mean, to even get close to the Force Awakens to me is really impressive. And I also love Adam Driver in that movie. Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, he's an amazing actor, man. Like, especially if the Joker movie never happened, I would say Adam Driver would have deserved an Oscar for Marriage Story.
Oh,
He's
that
really
was a
good.
tough choice. That
Yeah.
was like both him and ScarJo from Marriage Story. I left that theater feeling like I'm feeling some things right now. Like I need to talk this out right now. And like coming from like a uh like my parents were divorced when I was a kid, and like sitting and watching that movie, I'm just like, ugh, ugh, this feels a little a little too raw here. And
Yeah.
that's such an intense thing. And God, the internet's so great sometimes with its memes. Every time I see like every day we don't get the Mortal Kombat trailer and him punching the wall, or every day we don't get the Spider-Man 3 title punching the wall.
Delivered such a great performance. And also in Black KK Klansman, he was amazing in that movie.
He
But
really
Adam Driver to me is really good.
he's a fantastic actor, and I'm so excited to see what else he does.
Mhm.
Now, Isaac, my last question for you is what do you love most about movies?
That one, there's a lot of things, but I think number one, or the number one kind of movie I like that is also my favorite thing about movies is, being in the point of view of other characters, uh, getting to see this character's story, seeing them progress, having a character arc. Like there's movies like Taxi Driver, or there's a lot of movies where it's just about a character's journey. And it's kind of cool seeing the point of view and the story of another character. It's weird seeing that, but it's like the most beautiful part. And another little thing that's also related to that is, you know, uh, feeling like you're part of that story. It feels like you can take your mind off of everything going around you, especially in a theater where there's a surround sound system, and you feel like you're in that story, and you feel like you need to know everything that's happening. And it's that thing that those are my favorite things about watching a movie.
And it's like not many times can you feel like you're inside the head of somebody like Travis Bickle. Nor
Yeah.
would you want to. In real
Yeah.
life. But watching a film about it, it's pretty interesting. And the being lost in a theater experience, I miss it so much. And just like even I got stuck in the front row for the Lighthouse because I'm like,
Oh,
I didn't get tickets beforehand because I'm like, how packed can the Lighthouse be on a Friday night? It was sold out. And I got stuck in the front row right in the center. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm so up in their faces that I'm just like, I can't handle these two right now because it's
yeah.
so intense between the two of them. And you could feel that tension, you can feel that experience. But like, there's so many great, like, I got to see The Hateful Eight on 70 millimeter print. I saw
Really?
I saw Dunkirk on 70
Ooh,
millimeter.
that's
That
a
was
cool
really
one.
cool. Did not see that in IMAX. I heard people actually had to walk out because Hans Zimmer's score was too intense.
Oh my, yeah, especially in Dunkirk. Oh my God. Even in my house where we don't have a surround sound system, it's still like feels really loud. I can just imagine what it's like in IMAX.
So here's a fun little story. I was doing a mock test with some students on like we had to give them music that was going to stress them out.
Yeah.
Taking this assessment, and I played Super Marine from Dunkirk, where it's like,
Oh,
I'm just like,
oh
yeah,
man.
you try to concentrate trying to take a test while that's playing.
It
And
feels like you're in a movie.
they basically said it gave them anxiety. And I'm like, well, it did its job. That was the point of this score.
Hans Zimmer is amazing when it comes to original scores.
Oh, one thing I am super excited about is Justice League's Junkie XL score because
Yeah.
he's amazing. And the fact that Joss Whedon fired him when he came onto that film made me so upset. Not that
Yeah.
David Elfman didn't make a really solid, strong score, which he did, but like it's not Junkie XL. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on, him and Hans Zimmer with that Wonder Woman theme. Oh my
Oh man.
God.
I don't understand till this day why they removed all those scores from Junkie. Like, one thing that I loved a lot about BVS, Wonder Woman, and Man of Steel is the scores by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL.
Yeah.
Like, I in my playlist, half of my playlist is just original scores from them. And when I left Justice League, I was like, there wasn't really a theme that I left thinking, oh, that's amazing. Like most of the themes were really boring. And I respect Danny Elfman a lot. And I can understand since he came on at like the last second. So it was really hard for him to make like a music that takes him a while. But to me, hearing the new score, I really wish they had kept it. Even if it didn't match Whedon's color palette and the tone of his film, I would have still at least liked to leave the theater hearing something good.
Yeah. It's like, I would take Junkie XL scoring any movie, thanks. I listen to the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack so much.
Oh man, that's an amazing one.
And nothing elevates when Wonder Woman pops up in BVS quite like
Oh
I'm
man, I
just
remember
like,
my theater going crazy. Like we knew Wonder Woman was gonna pop up, but in that way, just coming out blocks Doomsday's Ray or being whatever it is, and you hear and you're like, oh my! Like everyone was just like clapping and cheering, like Wonder Woman's popping up.
hey, is she with you? I thought she was with you.
And then you see all three of them, and you hear and you see Doomsday with like the rays coming to him. I love that scene so much. I think it's one of my favorite comic book scenes of all time.
I love scores so much, and a great one can
Yeah.
make such things so great. Now, Isaac, it is your turn to ask your Wasteland Reviewer question.
All right. I got one really good one. I'm not sure if anyone's asked you, but
Okay.
uh, if you could interview any person in the world, whether it's a director, actor, or even a film pundit on YouTube, who would it be?
Can they be somebody who's passed away and I can bring them back from the dead to have this interview?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be fun.
I want to interview Stanley Kubrick and try to find out what the hell is going on in his head because he seemed like the world's biggest asshole but boy, did he make amazing films. He's definitely somebody. And like, if I had to pick somebody that like I could actually interview, I want to sit down with the Coen brothers because
Uh,
they're my favorite filmmakers, and I would love to interview them. And like, imagine like if I could have somebody on this show specifically. Of course, like I feel like anybody who's a YouTuber and does YouTube reviews has probably watched Chris Stuckman at some point.
I love him. I
And
remember growing up with his reviews.
yeah, so like that would be pretty cool. So no one has asked me that question, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what your favorite movie was, but I thought, maybe someone has already asked you that, so I wanted to do something kind of unique.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, Isaac, thank you for coming on to Lost in the Wasteland. It was a lot of fun chatting movies with you. I'm going to
thanks,
give you
man.
one last chance to shamelessly plug whatever you'd like to shamelessly plug.
All right. Basically, for those who don't know, I run a YouTube channel called Isaac the Film Geek. It's the same handle for my Twitter and Instagram. All we basically do is talk about movies, movie news, everything in the wonderful world of movies. Specifically, I get to just give my opinions on news. So basically, I'm just a movie commentary. We talk a lot about sci-fi, drama, horror, but specifically, we like talk about sci-fi movies like Star Wars, Snyder Cut, Marvel, everything like that. And so, if you're into that, go ahead and subscribe to that. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Go and subscribe to Isaac's channel. And thank you, Isaac, the film geek, for coming on to Lost in the Wasteland. And thank all of you for tuning in and always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.